we're going to do Kamishigiri. This is test cutting with a real sword. Normally at this part of the show, we ask for a volunteer because we like to sacrifice a virgin. But it's Saturday night in Galveston, Texas. There are none left. Well, that's not true. There's a 14-year-old sitting in a corner, but... Alright, what I want to do is I want to explain to you real quick what test cutting is. Do you want to talk? Okay.
Alright folks, test cutting is the practice of actually cutting through targets with a razor-sharp sword. You see, for the samurai, they used to practice their skills in large-scale pitched battles versus each other. After the Tokugawa took power, roughly 1600, you guys know, the shogun, there were not as many large-scale pitched battles, only a few, and so all of the fighting kind of developed into the political arena, which was dirtier and meaner. But anyway, that aside, the samurai had to find new ways to test their skill with the sword. They actually practiced something for about 10 years in Japanese history called tsujigiri. If you learn nothing out of our show but this, please remember not to volunteer for tsujigiri. Because it's literally translated as Japanese gets, that means peasant cutting. It was actually legal for the samurai to test their skill with their sword by cutting down any wandering peasant that they felt like. Now, that eventually was deemed inconvenient, and by that I mean inconvenient to the other samurai. They got tired of sending one of their peasants to get them a drink and having them get hacked down, and they were inconvenienced and had to go get it themselves. Society really hasn't changed much. Nobody cared that the peasants didn't like it. But eventually what the samurai settled on was cutting rice straw targets, tatami mats. This continues to be the standard across the world for test cutting today. Now what he's going to show you first is downward diagonal cutting. And while you watch this, please remember that a 700-year-old katana, which is what he's holding, that's differentially heat-treated, folded steel, is going to cut through rice straw. What we're looking for here, we're going to tell off on him a little bit, is not big sloppy cuts, but fairly specific downward 35-degree angle strikes, because those were what would actually work, aiming for the joints in the armor and, quite frankly, cutting through a human body based on anatomy. Downward diagonal strike. Strike! Go! Now the samurai also cuts upwards. You see, armor was designed to protect ideally from the top down. What that meant is that their metal apron protecting their legs, the haidate, covered the outside going down, but it didn't cover the inside of the leg. And as luck would have it, the femoral artery runs right there.
Exactly. This is still a family show. You can't talk about femoral arteries and blood spurting and people getting covered.
It's almost Halloween. Alright, fine. If he takes this big, shiny, sharp sword and slams it against the inside of somebody's leg, bad things will happen.
This was somebody's own. You know, that kind of stuff doesn't happen in Houston on Sunday.
No!
And last but not least, for every one of you that's ever seen a Samurai Jack episode, you have the end of the show where there's a samurai waiting to cut the other guy in half. Go for it.
Alright, for my next amazing map, we're going to cut one more, and then I'm going to turn you over to the judges, and we're going to find out who won the most awesome cosplay contest ever.